Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we have a roadmap update. So in this video we're going to go over everything new that's coming to Star Citizen. So let's get right into this video. Okay, so notable changes for August 13, 2025, the release view 4.3, which is currently in PTU. All 4.3 cards have been set to committed. Sniper, Light Armor, Geist, Wicklow Light Combat Stealth Suit, ASD Light Combat Stealth Suit, new hairstyles, dynamic snow, ladder improvements, Onyx facilities, and Wicklow special ships, and last the Vault Sniper. Okay, so that's all good. Again, all of this stuff is currently in 4.3 PTU, so we already have access to this to take a look at it, so it makes sense for them to move those things to committed. Then we have the Kruger L-21 Wolf. We saw this. CIG recently posted a behind the ships episode going into more detail about this ship. More likely this ship will be for the 4.3, as you could see here. CIG kind of is doing this thing this year, particularly where they release a new ship with a new patch. And if you look at their financials, it seems to be a very successful strategy. Implementing the light fighter Kruger L-21 Wolf, a classic built for the 30th century. This card has been set to committed, so that means we can expect to see that. And so far, CIG has, I believe, pushed a release candidate of the 4.3 patch up right now. So some people are speculating that 4.3 could go live this weekend, and we'll find out the sales page and the price and all that stuff for this ship. But we did get a update from the game files, and that is up on DPS calculator right now, so we can go over there and take a look at that real quick and come back to this. Alright, so we're here on DPS calculator, and we're taking a look at the L-21 Wolf by Kruger. This is a new Kruger ship, and we have all of the components here. So it does seem like the two size 4 Gatlings are bespoke weapons. They're called Relentless L-21s. 677 sustained DPS. Okay, 4200 max ammo there. You can see the missiles. They are size 1s, and you do have 8 of them. Again, another thing that we kind of figured out there. 2 size 1 shields is not too bad, but obviously it's a light fighter, so can't expect too much there. But this is pretty good to see. Then we have 1 size 1 power plant and 2 size 1 coolers, and then we have the quantum stuff, the radar. But we want to take a look at some of its performance here, right? So speed 230 meters a second, SCM boost 510, that's pretty good. 250 backwards, max speed total 1225. So this is going to be a fast ship right off the bat. As a light fighter, this is going to have pretty good performance. Pitch you on roll 75, 52, 210, and then boosted is 90, 62, 252. So boost really makes a difference there. We like to see those numbers. HP 8500, again, not bad for a light fighter. You know, if you compare that to other light fighters, 8500 is a decent amount there, good amount. Again, then you have all your claim timer numbers, expedited fees, maximum DPS. Now, unlike other fighters, light fighters, medium fighters, this DPS is pretty much fixed because they are bespoke weapons. So 1354 is a good amount of DPS, but again, you can't really do a whole lot there in terms of missiles. You have 9121, and you know, 2 size 1 shields. You have 300, and it is a bubble shield. So not bad numbers from the L-21 Wolf. I think this ship is going to be really interesting for people who want to have a light fighter. So it really just comes down to the price right now. because if you're comparing it to something like the Gladius and the Arrow, those sub $100 ships. So if this is anything over 120, I don't know. You're really going to have to be able to, get the performance out of this ship to, kind of really justify that price. Otherwise, I would say it's a buy in game. Definitely something that would be cheap enough to purchase in game. Again, you look at the 890 jumps, the Idrises, the Polaris, those will be very expensive to buy in game, very expensive to buy with real money. But something like this would be easily attainable for most people to purchase in game. So in my personal opinion, it really doesn't make sense for these small ships to be in the, in the mid to upper $100 range, right? Because you could just get them for a couple million in game. So again, it really comes down to the price here, in my personal opinion. If they stay around that 100, 110, $120 mark, I think it might be attractive for some people. If they go into the 140, 50, 60, I think my recommendation would be absolutely buy the game. So now let's go back and finish up looking at all of the things that they've added in the roadmap. All right, 4.3 NPC dropships. Introducing dropships in Pyro, defending outposts and deploying reinforcements when the local population is attacked. This card has been set to tentative. Now, this is interesting. CIG has worked on NPC reinforcements in the past where you would go to an outpost and you would see a Cutlass Black fly in and drop off more NPCs. Oftentimes, these NPCs would, be stuck in the ship. They'd be in their seats. The ship is indestructible. There were some hiccups with the feature. I don't know how much it's used in game right now. I don't know if they've pulled it out or whatnot. I haven't really done a lot of testing with it, but players did test it and see these ships, come in to reinforce certain locations in the game. So that technology has been kind of floating around. This is a little bit different. This is introducing them in Pyro, and of course, drop ships might mean they're not just Cutlass Blacks. They might be Cutlass Steels, right? They might be Prowlers. They might be Valkyries. That would be kind of interesting to see a little bit more, ship diversity there, and defending outposts when local population is attacked. So this might be kind of a dynamic thing, right? If players are doing certain things and in outposts in Pyro, this might be kind of a way of not really a crime system, but the local faction keeping order in their, territory. So that is going to be interesting to see. I hope they talk a little bit more about this, so we can see exactly what this is all about. But that's good to see. Heavy utility armor, adding new heavy utility armor. This card has been set to tentative. Medium utility armor, Ambrose. This card has been set postponed to a later date, actually. So utility armor, not entirely sure what that's all about. Maybe they have more slots for different types of gadgets and whatnot. So this is going to be interesting as well. AI FPS turrets, adding anti-personnel turrets for players to avoid or destroy, providing additional PvE challenges. This card has been postponed to a later date. Now, this might be potentially why PvE zones were removed. They might have had issues with this because I believe that these AI turrets were supposed to be in PvE zones as another challenge besides NPC AI. So not entirely sure, but that's just my guess right now. Maybe they wanted to balance them a little bit more, work on them a little bit more. Again, not too critical, so I'm not too worried about that. Mission pickup on location, enabling new missions to be discovered and added to journals when you approach or enter a designated area. This card has also been postponed. This was another feature that was supposed to come with PvE zones, as I believe when you went into the different areas of the ASD locations, that they would update and give you different mission content. So that's going to be interesting to see with maybe potentially mission givers, because as you do certain content in the game now, you'll have this NPC come on to comms and talk to you and update you. We've seen CIG do a lot more of that with the Second Life initiative, where you have the NPCs from each different planetary faction call you up and talk to you about your mission progress and that type of stuff. It's more immersive. So I like to see that they're working on that. It has been postponed. Mission pick up on location. So again, I hope they talk more about that as well. I know CAG likes to surprise the community with content, all this type of stuff, but I do like when they go into detail on it inside Star Citizen, Star Citizen Live, that type of stuff. New hairstyles, adding new hairstyles. This card has been set to tentative. They've been doing pretty good with the hairstyles so far, so I'm not, going to rush them to do too much of that. I know that probably what they're going to do is have a bunch of hairstyles in the background, and then 1.0, when that goes live, they just drop a bunch of new ones all at the same time to kind of, surprise the community. Hey, look at all this new shiny stuff. And then the Vault LMG, introducing Vault's Heavy Hitter, a machine gun that ramps up the punishment as it heats up. Trading rate of fire for raw stopping power. As it nears peak overheat, it unleashes shearing energy blasts capable of tearing through hostile forces with terrifying efficiency, featuring a hefty reload time but with a high capacity magazine, which makes sense and is fair. This card has been set to tentative, so it is potential for this to come with 4.3. Then here's kind of the major thing, is the updates with the progress tracker. We've made a few additions to the progress tracker, which you can review below. Just a reminder, when progress on a deliverable is marked as complete, it doesn't necessarily mean it's ready for release. It may still require downstream support, transition to another team for further work, or additional steps before completion, or rather delivery to us, the players, because at the end of the day, that's what we really care about. When is this feature going to be delivered? So, big one is engineering. We know that CAG was talking about having this roll out in the tech preview channel before. As you guys may know, that we had a bit of engineering in Arena Commander. Experimental modes, that is kind of a different module than the test preview channel. The last time we had the test preview channel, I believe it was the Pyro Playground, where you have the PTU, the persistent universe, and then you have the tech preview channel. It is like an additional distribution of the game that can be opened up in the launcher. So more likely we'll have a tech preview channel for engineering to kind of separate the tech and keep the persistent universe from breaking too much, basically. Then, of course, crafting. This was something that they talked about a little bit at CitizenCon. We saw crafting machines. We saw some of the recipes. We saw some of how this is going to work with the resources that you're going to need and the items that you can make. But there's still a lot up in the air with crafting on how they're actually going to implement it and balance it right with the economy, because as many of you guys know, that whole system is kind of broken when it comes to using RMC to create multi-tools, for instance, right? Where the RMC cost to create a multi-tool in your ship is way more than what it would be to buy a multi-tool. And CIG needs to do a lot of work to balance that, so crafting isn't broken right out of the gate. Then we have FPS radar on scanning. Now, a lot of people are kind of on the fence with this as well. They kind of see it as potential wall hacking, all that kind of stuff. Um, in an MMO or PvP game, it, could walk a fine line, to kind of put it politely, because the reality is there's going to be trade-offs where potentially you expose your position as well. But I know CIG wants to add in this technology, not just for PvP, but for PvE, so you can investigate and it will open up a lot more gameplay. Uh, it's just one of those things that they have to take their time and make sure they get it right. Then we have a redacted creature. This is interesting. Now, I know CIG has talked about adding a lot of creatures even back since CitizenCon. So, we know that we can get the storm walls. These are kind of like the flying space whales in Crusader. We saw them at CitizenCon again, but I don't know what else work needs to be done on them before they can bring them into the game. So yeah, there are definitely some creatures that CIG probably has that already done or in the process of being finished, but they kind of just want to keep it as a surprise. Then inventory rework, we saw this in an episode of Inside Star Citizen. No, we saw an episode of Star Citizen Live, um, one of those, where they kind of showed the direction that they want to go in the inventory system, and I feel like this definitely needs to be a priority. This needs to come before crafting. This needs to come before anything else, because dealing with the inventory right now is very slow, it's very clunky, and if you're going to have a game that has crafting in it, you absolutely need the inventory system to be smooth and good, because that's what's really going to get people locked into that gameplay. Then we have item expiry. Enable functionality for items such as keycards to now have an expiry timer, after which they are rendered non-functional. So this is pretty interesting. This might play into hacking and different things. Not entirely sure. Maybe new, item recovery tier 1 or whatever. Uh, who knows? Then we have the transport refactor. This is huge. Refactor of the existing transit system to allow for easier design setup, easier integration into instance contents like hangars, and more robust functionality in silver meshing environments. So again, this is one of those things that they have to work on, that was supposed to come with 4.0, the transit system refactor, but it kept getting pushed down the road. So it is much needed, right? With elevators, not just cargo elevators, with hangar elevators, personal elevators, the trams and trains and stuff. Funny story, the other day I was playing and an NPC just got on the train, sat down, rode to the spaceport with me, and just like they had somewhere to go. I do think CIG, they're definitely working on the AI, the NPCs, making them better, more believable. Then we have command module, introducing the concept of vehicles taking over control of other host ships, primarily used for spaceships like the Drake Caterpillar. So this is really important to see. We know that CIG is currently in development with the Ironclad. The Ironclad also has this technology. The Ironclad has a very similar command module. And so it would make sense for, if they're working on the Ironclad right now and getting all that technology working, to just do it for the Caterpillar as well. So I think that what they're doing here is they're just creating the system so they can apply it to the Ironclad and the Caterpillar and not have to worry about it. And they can do that for future ships if they want to. So I think that's going to be very interesting, right? Because, the Caterpillar has had, a lot of features that it's waiting on, modularity, this, that, and the other. And CIG has slowly been adding some things, the tractor beam, right? the doors being able to finally go down to the ground. It's kind of like, you know, CIG's in a rock and hard place where they need to make new ships, and that's really what's going to bring in a lot of the new money. But they have all these old ships that they have to either, you know, go through the backlog of concept ships or fix ships that they've already delivered but just don't work well with the new gameplay. So it's good to see they're slowly working on some of those features. But let me know what you guys think about these updates. What are you looking forward to most? When do you think we're going to get any of these things? Do you think, you know, we're going to see engineering in the test preview? Do you think we're going to see crafting? Probably at CitizenCon, CIG is going to talk a lot more about crafting and base building and that type of thing. And then in 2026, I think we're going to be back on to Squadron 42 promo, right? If Squadron 42 doesn't come out at CitizenCon next year, but I'm sure we'll hear some stuff about Squadron 42 at CitizenCon this year. But that's going to be it for me here in this video. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me again. I really appreciate all the support on the content. You guys have been commenting, leaving lots of likes. It really means a lot to me. I enjoy just making these videos and talking about Star Citizen with you guys. This game is my favorite hobby, so thank you. But like I always say at the end of these videos, you guys, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.